What's happening in the canine industry? For all the latest news, views, and expert opinions, stay right here for the Canine Paradigm. You'll hear from industry leaders, experts, doyens of the industry, learned colleagues, movers and shakers, and the odd randy guest. Get the latest insights and expert advice from both here and abroad from the people in the know. Now, here are your hosts, Glenn Cook and Pat Stewart. And I'm Lofty Fulton, and I'm out of here.
Hey, Glenn, I reckon it's time for a new ad.
Do you reckon? We just went 14 months with the old one.
We don't even have sponsors anymore, so it probably was a good thing to take it down.
I think they just got so sick of it.
Yeah. So we've decided to no longer take sponsors on the show. The main reason being it comes with a level of admin that we're just not prepared to do.
Yes.
And we want to bring you good dog training information. So there's really only two things that we're interested in telling you about before you come into the show. First one being Canine Paradigm. Glenn, hit us with the details.
Thousands of customers, mainly in Australia and in the USA. We'd love to get in other places around the world, which I think will be on the list. We've got 5-star reviews to the galore. We've had skeptics, people who just don't believe products such as Canine Paradigm can do anything for their dogs. They've tried it. They've come back and they've said it works. It's made a massive change, or it's made a mild change, or it's made a change. That was one of the things Narelle was always working towards. She makes sure she does the science. She likes to peer review everything she's trying to do as much as possible. These things aren't just done by chance. She has done a lot of work, a lot of prep getting it to where it is. Extremely proud of her for all the effort that she's put behind it. Not just because she's my wife, not just because it's our business or her business, but because it works and it's done what it says it's going to do, and it's at such a great level as well. So if you're looking for something to improve the health and well-being of your dogs, you can't go past Canine Paradigm. Check it out online, caninesurgicals.com.au.
I love it. I, this year, am changing the way that I teach. I am an educator. It's what I love to do, and I've been trying to find the best way to do that. And in 2026, I'm launching a subscription service. In the past, people have had to buy my courses. You own them outright or you own them for a period. And that has been great, except that it does cut some people out because of the high price point that they can't get in on, where a subscription service allows people to come in. So if you want to check out what I'm doing this year, there's a ton of really high quality information, as well as community forums, live calls, and all that kind of stuff within the Serious Dog Business community that I've launched. There'll be links in the show notes, or you can jump onto the school platform and search Serious Dog Business. You'll find me there.
Let's just remind people that if they do want to support our show, they can head over to Patreon. We always do a wrap up at the end of the show, but Patreon keeps the lights on. If you want to support us, this is the only financial way that the Canine Paradigm gets a cash influx. Our government takes half of it, being in Australia. That's what they like to do. Nonetheless, we have exceedingly appreciated your support. People like Buffhead, the Sugar Mama, massive shout out to them because they were huge supporters of the show. And also, as I've said in my one-man band show that I did just before this, George Kittredge, loving memory of you as well. Thanks for your patronage as well.
All right, let's do it. Welcome back to the Canine Paradigm. I'm your host, Pat Stewart, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Glenn Cook. Hello, sir.
Hello, my friend, and hello, friends from the interwebs.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good now. I've been going through this fucking health issue lately. Even when we had our trial at Brisbane, fucking hell, I've been crook as a dog. It's lingering still, but it's just been taking its fucking toll on me. It's one of those things, like I talked about in the last episode, when dogs change their behavior due to getting illness. I found I was doing that myself too. Like you kind of draw down on not feeling well, and everything around you is affected by it. Like your sleep is affected and memory is affected. It really robs you of all joy. So yeah, it's been driving me fucking crazy, but hopefully I'm getting towards the end of it now.
Ugh.
Oh, woe is me. Well. Oh, the world's coming to an end.
No one's coming to save you. Let's get on with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Before we went to the recording last time, we said to some people, hey, we had a thing lined up. It didn't happen. What do you want us to talk about? And so we're working our way through some cool questions. So I'm just going to jump back into doing that.
Don't forget you got to add some stuff about aliens.
Trust me, there's plenty of people asking about it.
Yeah.
We can riff on that. Do you know what? I want to talk about this before we start.
Okay. Let's do it.
I was about to say, we do that in my school. We've got like conspiracy club and we meet semi-regularly and talk about it. And also, like, I literally just finished the community call. So every 2 weeks we do these calls. We record the dog training part. And then when I run out of dog training questions, I'm like, okay, anyone else from the floor? Is there anyone else that wants to talk dog training? Okay, we stop the recording and then we just go crazy and talk about conspiracies. So, but what I did want to say is sort of just let people know, it's a bit of ad for myself, I have to admit, right, is I've decided to go all in on this school platform. We've talked about it on the show before. I've been in the online education space on and off for over 10 years. My Springer Spaniel, Valerie, the whole reason I got her was to film a tutorial on how to raise a puppy. And she's the puppy that we use. So she's 12 years old. That's how long I've been doing it. And I've tried lots of different methods. Now, you know, I'm a real dog trainer. I like to actually train dogs. And it's been one of the things that I've been really scared of in the way that I run my business is I don't want to get stuck at this desk, mate. That has been a real concern for me. Like I've really been afraid of spending more time talking about dog training than doing dog training. And, you know, I'm aware that's business, but there's so many people I see in the dog training space that have, you know, big, huge followings and platforms, and they haven't trained a dog in fucking ages, right? And like, I just don't want to be that. I don't want to spend all my time at a desk. So I've been really careful. I've been really afraid at the way that I sell my online content because it's always just been a like, hey, here it is, buy it, and you go through it at your own pace. And at best, I was offering, you know, with a coaching subscription to one of the things I was selling, you could add like a fortnightly call. I've been so afraid of taking on too many people, therefore being at the point where I have too many students that I'm doing online stuff with, and that results in me just spending all day online and not getting to actually train dogs. I've wanted to avoid that. I think I've found a great way to do it. And through this school platform I'm finding a really good balance. And so this week I've put all of my content in there. And so there's tiers, people can choose their level of involvement. There's various prices. The main catalyst for doing it is that what I can do now is the full courses that I have, like my deep dives and all of that kind of stuff. It's accessible to people who don't have a big chunk of money. You can access it for a month, you know, like it's a subscription base. So you can get in there if you're the kind of person that has the time to get through that content quickly, get in there, bounce out. You've now got the knowledge and it only costs you $150 instead of several $1,000s. So I'm really proud to be able to do that. I really like the platform and I'm thinking that it's going to work. Like I'm not going to end up stuck at this desk. I'm not just going to be talking about dog training all the time. And in fact, the really cool thing about it is there's a forum in there where I can post stuff. So now I can, you know, like I trained a dog recently. It was like quite an exceptional session, I'll say. Like I had to do things that were not normal and I could film it and then I could do a voiceover of myself and explain what I was doing and then just post that into the community of the school. So that to me is the dream. Like that's the platform, that's the method of interaction that I've been looking to do. So if you're interested in learning from me, I know this is an ad at, you know, however many 300 something episodes in, I feel like it's okay to do that every now and again. This is an ad for my school. There'll be links in the show notes, but if you just go to a platform called School, spelt with a K, SKOOL, search Serious Dog Business there, you'll find me. There'll be links everywhere. You know, you can find all this stuff, but that's where I'm going all in and I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. It is the best interaction between people that I've been able to find. So I really enjoy that. That's my big plug for myself. Jump into my school. We also talk conspiracies in there. So come in there and talk conspiracies.
Mate, to be honest, I've got to say, you made a very good point about talking about not getting stuck behind the desk and finding that perfect combination between being on the tools or working in the business and on the business. And it's something that I have marveled at people who have been able to train dogs and record themselves and being able to get all of that and do all the admin, because I can't do that. I guess I came from an old school ways where you just didn't have cameras and you didn't have social media to worry about. Like you were just out on the field and doing it. So for me, it feels very unnatural to do it. Like I struggle doing it. And I know that lots of people want to view your work and see what you're talking about, which I do understand it. It frustrated me to no end when people would challenge you online saying, oh, I can't see your work. Like, you never put anything up. You're talking shit. Like, you're talking all this rhetoric online and making these bold claims, but you never put your work up. I used to think, get fucked, you fucking villain. But as I go along, I think, well, yeah, I guess people have a right to say that, because I don't put a lot of work up. I don't put a lot of video up because I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the process of setting cameras up and trying to get angles and trying to do all those sort of things when I'm out doing work with dogs and so forth. And there's sometimes when I'm working with clients, I think to myself, well, this is actually private. This is between me and a client when I'm dealing with the dog. I don't want to, like, I'm not going to use them as content to train other people, especially when I'm working with reactive or aggressive dogs and, people are getting emotional and they're spilling their hearts out and it's a pretty dire situation and there's not much exciting work to see, because there's not much exciting work to see when you're looking at reactive dogs. When you're doing the healing and the fixing process and transforming the dog from problematic behavior into more beneficial behavior, there is benefit in that, in teaching and learning. However, you have to be mindful and careful about that content, because some of these are legal cases. They're going in and out of court or they're involved in local laws and so forth. So that's something that I've respected the privacy of other people to do it. Getting back to my original point, mate, I do have a deep respect for people like yourself and many other people who do good quality content and manage to make this triadic life of doing the desk work, doing the multimedia work, and also doing the work itself. It's an incredible discipline. It is a massive discipline, and it's a huge talent as well. I do plan in the future to play around with it a little bit more. I'm going up to Queensland on this weekend, and this podcast won't come out until after the event, but I'm going up to do some community training on behalf of a local council up there. And I've had to film stuff for that so I could show it to the people online, because I'm not taking a dog with me, but I wanted them to see. And so did the council. They said, could you film it? Because we don't really want a dog there, but we do want to be able to show people that it's capable of teaching a dog to enjoy wearing a muzzle. So, I had Mando out the other day. I tried to film it myself and it was just a fucking disaster. So I got Narelle to come out and film it. And I just felt icky doing it. Like, it's not something that I really enjoyed and thought, oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving listening to myself talking. And I'm just thinking, oh, this is just so fucking awkward. But I do like showing people when I'm in front of them. And I used to love it with NDTF, where I'd go and get Randy and bring Randy in and show the group would say, well, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I'd get Ladybug, and that time she was walking, and show them how to teach the dancing bear routine. Or I'd get Randy out and show them how to do healing with distraction or whatever it was, drop stays, whatever, anything. And it was good. Like, that did excite me. I like that. It's only because I'm old school and I don't have the patience and the talent to make the other side of it work. And I do have an enormous amount of respect for people who can make that work, because it really is something. There's a lot of prep time. There's a lot of intelligence and coordination. There's a lot of everything that really needs to go into it. In fact, I was listening on the way back from Coffs Harbour. I was up there doing some staff training, teaching them how to work with dogs and how to manage dogs and use equipment effectively and blah, blah, blah. And as I was coming back, I had a Joe Rogan podcast on, and he was talking with a colleague of his about hunting in Montana. And he said there's this amazing guy before all of these tutorials or videos started to get online. He said this guy would go out, and he said he's just a beast. He's like a mountain goat of a person. He'd go out and he'd set up tripods and he'd show him stalking animals. He'd have another camera set up, zoomed in on the animal that he was about to do the kill on. He said it just was remarkable that he had the capability, the patience, and the talent to get all these camera angles of him alone without a camera crew doing all the work. And I thought to myself, I know people like that in the dog training community, like yourself, Pat. Like, you manage to get good footage and you make things work. And I don't know how you manage to find the time to do it sometimes. Like, I look at, I watch your work when you've done presentations online or tutorials or guides or anything like that. And I think, I don't know how you have the time to do that. I just don't understand how you can not only do it, but make it polished so it looks nice and you have different angles and cutaways and inserts and so forth like that. So well done to you and to everybody else who does this. This is a compliment to the community for making that multimedia and making it look so nice and making it beneficial for people like myself and others to learn from as well, because I always pick up little tidbits from it as well, and it's wonderful.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. The funny thing to me, I know we've sort of touched on this in the past, is that the problem with filming training, like we're constantly encouraging people to film training, critique it yourself and all that kind of stuff. But when you're filming stuff, especially client interactions, you often find yourself in a position where you got to decide, am I doing this for the dog or am I doing this for the camera? You know,
yeah,
and
exactly.
Like sometimes like you don't get the right angles, you do things. And like you and I can observe that. Plenty of people see that in others. Like you see someone doing something, online and you're like, oh mate, you created that. Like that is
it's icky.
Like,
yeah. It's just like, it's like, fake. It's not real. It's fabricated work they're using for entertainment rather than for benefit.
Exactly. And then, that's why as a result, like the only sort of stuff that I would film well enough to make content from was training my own dog. Cause I'm like, well, no one's paying me. That's kind of the issue, right? Like when people are paying you, you're like, well,
I'm obligated to you.
Yeah. And like, it's your dog that's important here. I've got to do the training that's appropriate to your dog. The answers to your question should be direct and they should be specific to you rather than broad enough to make content out of, that kind of stuff. And so I was really happy then at club. That's why I'll include in my social media video of people at club, because that's kind of the cost, right? I'm like, hey, we're not charging you, but I get to film training your dog, but I have someone behind the camera so the camera can move. Because like a good camera operator and someone that actually knows how to film dog training is not easy. Like, most people have probably said to their partner, hey, can you film this? And they can hold a camera, but they don't know the important parts, like I had to get, when I was filming parts of the online course, it had to be Jazz that did the filming for me because she knows what I'm going to say. And she also knows the content. And when I'm showing something, like what's the important part to show? Whereas, like a random person can point a camera for you and operate the camera, but they don't know that kind of stuff. I'm really happy with sort of how that's evolved for me, and that especially being here, the place is wide with the camera. So now when I'm working with a dog, I can just hit record and I've got all the angles that then I can then go back to. And the big one for me, I've never liked doing it. Every time I've tried to do it, it's a disaster. It falls apart, is when you're talking to the camera and a dog. So like giving a tutorial, trying to explain, and then I will do this because it just derails the dog. Like you would never, like if you had a client that was just chatting to an imaginary friend while they were training their dog, you'd be like, hey, shut the fuck up. Like all that extra noise is derailing the dog. Right. And so that's what I constantly find when I'm trying to give some kind of tutorial. So now I've got like the system kind of set up where I can just film the whole thing and then I can do the voiceover later explaining of what I'm doing and I can show all the right angles. And the goal for me, I love the way that I trained. It's relevant to me. Like dog training is dog training, like there's science that you got to learn and you got to know, but then there's a flair and a flavor that is specific to you. And you got to do things in a way that like aligns with you. And that's always been like, since I've had this shop, like that's what I love about the people who come and train with me. And usually the way that we typically train is people will come in for a couple of days at a time and we sort of hang out together. And so that's the kind of vibe that I'm trying to create in the school, is that it is like, here's all the info and there's layers to the info. You can get as deep as you want and you can get really technical. But then there's like, here's the kind of goo that holds all of that together. And that's sort of the kind of bullshit that you would never get in an online course. It's from the conversations, it's the interactions and the like, when you ask an expert something and they go, yeah, like you could do that. Those conversations are the things that are never in courses because the course is like, hey, this, right? But then when there's like, oh, but maybe, and if this, then you got to be careful of that and look at the way this happens. That's what I can actually provide in the school. So we'll get on with it. It is an ad. I'm unashamedly doing that. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm so happy with it. And I finally feel like I've figured out the way that I like to interact with people as a teacher-student kind of thing.
It's our podcast. You're allowed to make ads if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, jump in, check it out.
Good for you, mate. That's great. I'm excited for you that you're living a dream.
Thank you, sir. All right. Kiara Grace is our first one, and she says burnout, how to identify it, how to stop it, and how to pull yourself out of it. That's where we finished last time, right? We haven't answered that.
I don't think so. I don't believe we got to the burnout question. Burnout has come and gone in topics that we've raised before because
so often.
And it happens so often too. It's very cyclical. it does raise its ugly head periodically in the timeline that you will be involved in dog training. Reasons that burnout happens from purely my opinion, but also from having plenty of discussions with learned people involved in training itself, all the way through psychology and people within different industries who have experienced similar types of burnouts. And it can be simply compassion, that you just care too much sometimes. And it's like being under fire and having adrenaline dumped on you all the time. There's going to be a stage where your body goes, I just can't handle this amount of adrenaline that you're producing all the time. I am exhausted. I am in a state of pure fatigue right now. And that happens with compassion as well. When you're feeling emotionally charged and compassionate all the time, I think I've stipulated this plenty of times over time, is that when you're running in excess in anything that you're doing, you're going to find that it has a residual burnout effect in some area of your life, whether it be physical. I mean, you can't lift weights ongoing all the time before you get lactic acid buildup and it just says to your muscles, I can't fucking do this anymore. I have no capacity to lift this weight any further. You need to put it down and you need to rest and you need to hydrate and you need to fuel me with proteins before we can go at this again. You need to get some sleep. You need to do some self-care, whatever it needs to be, but we need to stop and I cannot do this anymore. Once your body is repaired, then you go at it again and you go at it again. But when people are feeling big feelings, they're just under fire all the time. And the world is very different. You know, we've just gone talking about the difference between my raisings in the dog training world versus yours, Pat, in the dog training world. Like mine was very non-media. Yours has been very media driven. We just didn't have the technology. Like you'd have to carry around something that looked like a fucking suitcase to take videos when I was training dogs. And it existed. Like we did film things. Of course we did film things. There's VHS tapes of me and Boyd and the crew in the 1990s doing some pretty fun and cool stuff. And it was innovative then. It was really interesting and it's still relevant to what we do today because everything old is new again. What I'm trying to say is it circles back on itself and it comes around. Now, it's no wonder that people are feeling burnout and it's no wonder that people are feeling all these fatigue levels because they're expected to be wind-up monkeys all the time. It's a difficult process. I feel the way that I should answer this to conclude it, my point anyway, is that you need to surround yourself with people who have been through it before and understand the symptoms of it and can explain it to you and I guess guide you to understand how much effort and time you should put into it before you need to have some time away or just do a little mini step-aways or mini breaks, incremental breaks from it. Some people say, it's impossible, it's my job. It's not impossible. It really isn't impossible. You make it impossible when you start looking over your shoulder to the grass is greener scenario and you're always worried about what your neighbor is doing. Sure, I know people, this is your primary source of income and I get it. I understand that you're working hard. You're trying to manage your business, work on the business. You're trying to get your media going. And Narelle could tell you all about this herself because she works 7 days a week. She gets up in the morning, she deals with the things that she's doing around the house. But we have been talking about it recently where I've said to her, and she agrees and she understands that I wanted to step back from doing it and, have her staff doing more work and even hire somebody to do some of the work so she can go out and tend chickens and, just go for walks around the farm and do all those sort of fun things rather than be answering inquiries and always available for somebody who's got a problem anytime that she's selling product online and so forth. And at this point in time, that's what she does. And it's burning her out. It is definitely having a burnout effect on her. So, I get it. I understand it. We've talked about it. I've had it myself. There have been times where I've had to do complete and utter step-aways. There are times where I stopped talking to people about dog training. There's times where I changed my phone number because I didn't want to have anything to do with it because it really affected me. I was affected on physical, emotional, spiritual levels. I was falling apart. My life was unraveling. Everything was just a spiral of decay. As I've answered in other points before when people have said, how did you know when it was right to come back? Because I started missing it. That was when I knew I wanted to come back. It was right for me because I was doing other things and I thought to myself, you know what? I miss dogs and I miss the dog community and I miss dog people. I miss being around those sort of things. Before that, I didn't feel like that at all. I thought, no, fuck every single layer of those people and all the dogs, like fuck them to the end of the earth. When I felt like that, I was right to move away from it. It was a good choice on my behalf. because I was just a cesspool of negativity at the time. I wasn't a good teacher. I wasn't a good trainer. I wasn't good at my job. I wasn't benefiting anybody. There was no dog that was going to benefit from being around me at that time. All I was a force of destruction. When you are like that, you have to identify that side of yourself and be very honest about it. Talk about honesty. You know, at the trial we had recently up at Casey's and stuff like that, as a judge, I made some errors that I didn't hide them. I went and told the crowd I made some fuck ups. I did some things that were wrong. Step up, take ownership of things that you do wrong. Don't try and hide it, or especially when people can see it. Like, just say, yeah, I did the wrong thing. I fucked some stuff up. Here's how I'm going to make amends to it. And even when you're making mistakes in your dog training company or your passion or your hobby or whatever it is, be big enough and don't let your ego stranglehold you and stop you from saying, I need to stop what I'm doing. This is having a dramatic effect on who I am, my core function as a person, and my beliefs are being challenged now over my capability because I'm tired and I'm stressed and I'm just totally overwhelmed with everything. And I need to find some sort of salvation in doing something else for a period of time. Then you come back clear-headed. Then you come back reborn into feeling driven by it again. So I've had that several times. I've had times where I've just said, yeah, fuck it. You've talked about it, mate, when there's times where you want to leave. You know, you had enough with it. You had enough of the people. You had enough of the shit. You had enough of the constant fucking drama, because the dog training industry is very competitive. It can be extremely narcissistic and ego-fueled, and it can really pull people down. There's times where you just think, oh, why do I bother? You know, there's got to be an easy way to make a living and have to deal with these derelicts than this way. But the great thing about it is there's also a beautiful community in the dog training world. There's a fantastic outreach of people, some of the most loving, friendly, fun people, funniest people I've ever met, and some of my bestest friends are in the dog training community. Like, they're people that I long to see them. I can't wait to reconnect with them again. And there's other people who are just the absolute turds of the community. They're just like that in everything they do. They're cesspools, they're suckholes. They just draw energy away. They're emotional and energetic vampires. Part of having wisdom is knowing the difference between those people, knowing who isn't trying to hurt you in this industry, and understanding there are really good people that want the best for you and wish you well and will encourage you along your journey. And there's other people who will suck the marrow out of your bones. The shame is, some of the most attractive people to you in the early days are the energetic vampires. They don't come with a banner over them saying, hey, I'm a human piece of shit. You only find that out when they've turned your pockets out and bent you over. When you get wise and when you start to see the difference in the world, you'll start to see them coming after a period of time. You go, yeah, this is a person I need to steer clear of. This is another person who's going to have a dramatic effect on my life and burn me out quickly and use me and make me feel all husked out at the end of it. The shame about wisdom is wisdom takes so long to fucking kick in. It's even sporadic on how long you have a stranglehold of it for. So good luck. Surround yourself with good people. Be with people that want the best for you and talk well of you and will defend you in a room when you're not there. I think that's something that I found very important for myself. Is I always know who my true friends are, because if a group of people are talking smack about me or anything like that, my friends will get up and say, well, why don't you say that to his face? Or you're a piece of shit for saying that. And they're people that they're still endeared to me to this very day, because they're very true friends, people I can rely on, not only for dog training, but just life advice in general, because they're decent people inside and out.
Good advice. To me, I think burnout, especially in the dog space, as you said, like, I have done that. I've left a couple of times. You know, really, I think burnout is mostly caused by low-level constant stress. Right? As dog trainers, we should understand, like, layered stress, the idea that a little bit of a problem for a long time is a big problem. And then you can have many, many small problems create the feeling of a huge problem. Something I try to do, it's not always possible, but whenever it is possible, is if there is stress to be had, I want to have all of that stress in the shortest amount of time possible. Now, this isn't for everyone, right? This is not the technique for everyone. But for me, every time, and especially lately in the last few years, like, anytime that I have ignored or just powered through a situation. Now, it could be, you know, a work concern. It could be an interpersonal problem. It could be a problem with a dog. It could be, like, you know, there's a million, insert the problem here, the low level stress. what I try to do is fix the problem as quickly as possible without letting it fester. And like that seems pretty obvious, like that seems like a really easy thing to say, but fuck me, that can be a hard thing to do. Hey, like in reality. So that means have the uncomfortable conversation, make the changes, post the thing, delete the thing, whatever it is, take it all on in one go and get it over with. And that's something that it's kind of new to me doing that. Like, I mean, I've always kind of done that, but in terms of emotionally, it's quite new. Like in the past have always, like I've been very level kind of emotionally, and I will have the hard conversation. I'll take the stress. I've kind of talked about it. It's why the ice bath, for example, although I'm not sort of in the ice bath at the moment, but it's why it works for me, not for other people, in that it's a lot of pain, but I'm going to be in that pain all day. So I can choose to compress it all into 3 minutes in the ice bath, or I can have it over 24 hours throughout the day. To me, I'll always take the 3 minutes of torture over the long duration. But something I've been learning to do is dealing with my own emotions, which has been a really sort of fun and interesting part of the weird and spiritual stuff that I investigate a lot. Is that what I have found helps is when you have a negative emotion is to not run away from it, is to lean into it and have it all at once and get it over with. Because, like that sort of lingering, I'm upset, I'm concerned, whatever, you have that all day, that's going to fuck up your whole day. I'd rather just fuck up 5 minutes, like I would rather like really get into the pit. If I'm upset about something, let's get as upset as I can. If I'm mad about something, let me get as mad as I can and not run away from that feeling. Feel it fully, investigate it, figure out why it's there, and then just let it go rather than letting it simmer. Now, I am acutely aware that that is a very difficult thing to do and requires much practice. And I am evidence to how poorly it can be done, but that it can be done and must be practiced for sure is something I feel strongly about. So in terms of burnout, that's my advice. I think that more often than not, we burn out because of multiple low-level stresses. So when you encounter those low-level stresses, identify, can this low-level stressor be solved with some high-level stress over a short period of time and get it over with and get it done with? The beauty of that then is the relief feeling on the other side. And we as dog trainers, we should know like how good that can feel. When you solve the problem, even when you put yourself into a very difficult / dangerous situation, resolving that, regardless of how it is resolved, but that there is a resolution, is often much more stress relieving than sitting within it, even when the resolution is negative for you. So it's worth keeping in mind, solve as many problems, have the uncomfortable conversation, push through, take the risk rather than sit in anxiety over. There's a million quotes we can say is that no amount of anxiety ever improved or never ever changed what's actually going to happen in the future. You know what I mean? Like there's all those sorts of things that we think about. But the truth is, I think solve the problems, solve as many problems as you can, as quickly as you can. Don't let them fester. I feel really strongly about that, not just in terms of our own lives, but with dog training as well. I put up a big post about it the other day. I had just had so many people that had these ongoing issues caused by something. And so often, especially with training a dog, fix the problems as soon as they're there. Don't give the dog time to think about how things went. Don't make him worry about, shit, if I have to face this situation again, I'm going to face that same stressor. Like make him do it right now. Like fix the problem as quickly as you can. It's not always possible. I'm aware of that, but fix the problem as quick as you can, because so few of the problems that we and dogs encounter are ever as bad as we create them in our mind to be. Yeah. So like more often than not, it is better to just go, fuck it. I'm going into this. I'm going to have the problem to its maximum, and then the problem will be done and I don't have to worry about that anymore. Or I deal with what's come of the problem rather than having to worry about what will come of the problem. That's my take on it.
One of the questions that I've been asking myself on a regular basis is, am I happy? And I ask that when I'm with a group of people, am I happy? And I ask that when I'm doing work. I ask myself regularly, am I happy? I was asking myself yesterday when I was driving home, am I happy doing this? Do I like doing what I'm doing? Because I want to kind of have a bit of a feedback check with myself. I think sometimes people get a little afraid to do that because they're worried about what if the answer is no, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
That can be confronting. I get it. I understand it. It was confronting for me at one period of my life where I didn't want to acknowledge that I wasn't happy with the way things were. But I think you need to, because if you're not asking yourself and doing a little bit of a system defrag from time to time, you don't know where you're sitting and you don't realize that it's sneaking up on you, and that's where it catches you and that's where it pulls you down quickly, because then you're kind of stuck and you think it's too late. I'm very unhappy. I'm extremely unhappy. And that's where serious side effects such as depression start hitting you, because you've been unhappy for such a long, long period of time that you're used to being unhappy and the world around you is about unhappiness. Oddly, you start to drift towards other things that make you unhappy, because that kind of feels like that's all you deserve in life, is to be unhappy. So I try and have a bit of a reality check on that on a regular basis and ask myself, am I happy? Do I like what I'm doing? And if the answer is no, I think, well, how can I change that? What do I need to do differently to make myself feel happier about it? Doesn't mean that I'm going to be as happy as I can be. And I'm not talking about just being a grinning idiot, and going through life like everything's fucking hunky-dory all the time. I'm saying, can I improve on this situation? Can I make it better? What do I need to do? What changes do I need to put in place to improve on this? Sometimes that involves researching it with other people as well, like talking to a good friend about it, somebody who is happy in their life and has found satisfaction in what they're doing, and having a simple conversation with them and saying, how did you find that? Where did you lose yourself and how did you find yourself again? And how did you achieve happiness in those little things? And as you stated before, I feel that a lot of the time it's just making small incremental changes, just course corrections that when you're off course, that you find that you're back on course again. The Beatles sang a song, it's called I Get By With a Little Help From My Friend. And that's it's something that I hum to myself sometimes, because I do have friends in my life like you and others that I can go to for good advice, and I can, seek wise counsel from those type of people, because sometimes you can't see it within yourself. You just don't know. And that's one of the things about unhappiness is it encompasses a lot of things that are happening to you and what are going on around you. And it smothers you to a point where you can't really identify with it anymore. In the beginning, you can. You can go, oh, that doesn't make me happy, because you've got a healthy enough mind to be able to adjust to it. But once your mind sort of becomes corrupted by that, it functions in such a way. And I'm talking to you from experience. It happened to me. I got completely mystified in unhappiness, and it triggered depression in me at one stage of my life. And it just is that one thing has gone wrong, and there might be things from your past, it might be things from your present, it might be just that you're constantly under fire and overwhelmed for far too long, and you just don't see it anymore. But if you've got sound and sage people in your life, from time to time they'll come up to you and say, hey dude, is everything okay? And they actually have the ability to see small changes in you, or even changes in you over time, where they go, hey, that's not how Pat should be, or Glenn should be, or whoever should be. That's not their default behavior. They seem to be different than what they are. Sometimes the close people around you are saying that. Act on it and pay attention to it, because there is something in that as well.
All right. Our next prompt comes from Tori Carlson, who demands we talk about aliens. She actually just writes ... aliens.
That's it.
That's it. Where are you at with aliens, Glenn? What do you reckon?
As I stated in the last episode, listening to Bob Lazar and the documentary they're doing, I think it's called S4 or something like that, the new documentary that's going to be on Prime.
Yeah.
What really makes me curious is that he claims that, and the evidence is quite supporting, he claims that he has worked on and seen several alien craft. And he's not into alien craft like you and I have been. And there's people out there who are extraordinarily into alien craft and alien civilizations and so forth. Bob Lazar is just a tech head. He's just a nerd who likes, like I was lucky enough to work on one of these groundbreaking vessels that is not from this world. That was the coolest thing in my life, is that I got to play with technology that nobody else has ever seen before or knows of, because it's not from here. And when I heard him talking about that, when he was interviewed on Joe Rogan, I thought, fucking hell, he's not sensationalizing this. He's not trying to make out, now all they do is travel around the world. getting rich off telling my stories and pretending to be a really on-the-spot UFO guy. Couldn't give a fuck about it. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, because Joe Rogan's talking to him. He's mentioning things about alien ships and alien technology and alien civilizations. And he's going, yeah, I don't know anything about that because I'm more interested in putting a fucking rocket in the back of my car or something like that.
Yeah.
And that in itself makes me think, okay, he could be the world's greatest fucking illusionist and liar. Or he's a typical nerd. He's just a person who did get exposed to something like that. I think what's very plausible about it is that it stood the test of time. Even things that he claimed all the way back in the 1980s, people have now found evidence to say, oh my God, the mountains where he was talking about, that place does exist. And those big hangar doors are in the background, and people have actually taken photos of it. And the same sort of material composition that he described, when we played with the image, it actually came out that way. And it's, you know, like there's more and more evidence to support what he's talking about. Me, myself, I've believed in alien craft and aliens for a long time. As I've said, you and I have had conversations in my kitchen when you used to roll your eyes at me. I've had experiences, which I've talked about, where I believe that I have seen an alien craft. And, you know, it's still a very compelling story if anybody wants to talk to me about it one day, but I believe that I have seen an alien craft. I was young. I've always been very much into science fiction. But when science fiction meets science reality, when you're face to face with something that doesn't look like anything you've ever seen in your life, it's very compelling in your lifeline that you think to yourself, I've never seen anything like that, even to this date. Like even now, what I believe I saw, I still haven't seen it now. So I'm outing myself as people listening to me going, oh, you wanker, you're just telling a big fucking story. Even as I've told you before, Pat, and explained the story to you, even after I made these claims and told my mum and she told me that I was a liar, it was on the news for the next couple of days that there were sightings of alien vessels in that area on the Channel 10 news way back in the 1970s.
Yeah.
You know, it was fucking amazing. I was sitting there, you know, making the double fingers to my mum and everybody else going, yeah, stick that up your ass. Because, yeah, everyone was saying to me, because I used to watch War of the Worlds and I used to watch Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars and everything like that. And I had a very vivid and runaway imagination when I was a kid. But fuck me, I still haven't seen anything like that to this day. Either I have an incredible imagination that I saw something that was very similar to, and it didn't look like what a big fucking dust can or anything like that. It looked unearthly. And the way that it carried itself and constructed itself, I still haven't seen anything like that today, that runs silent, that was almost invisible, that everybody that I was with, all their hair stand on end, all of those weird things that were happening, all combined in one, would say to me, I've never seen anything like that on Earth. So where the fuck did it come from? And how did it happen to be in the same place that I was at the time? It's got to a stage now where I think people are sick of trying to cover it up and the time of disclosure. Like there's a lot of people involved at very high level who are saying it's time to have the age of disclosure. We need to talk about this. We need to come forward about this. We need to stop. People need to stop being so fucking highly governed and pretending that we're the only rock in the solar system or the galaxy or the known universe that has supportive life on it. And there isn't anything that's far more intelligent and had longer than us or has developed an AI or is even from the future or whatever it may be. I mean, for a dog training podcast is getting quite fantastic into the realities of what one of our...
That's worth addressing, right?
Yeah.
That's worth addressing because I'll bet there are people listening now going, why the fuck is this a thing? And why, when we ask like, what do you guys want to talk about? I would say at least a third of the questions here end in and talk about aliens.
Yep.
And so like for people who are unaware, when me and Glenn first started hanging out together, I can't even remember how it first came up, but Glenn said something along the lines of like aliens or conspiracy of that nature. And I could not help but smirk and laugh and was like, you poor silly man.
Well, it was about your top secret clearances and all the things that you've seen as an operator.
I was like, listen, I've worked in the government at very high levels. I can never explain fully what I did, but I've done some shit. I held a very high clearance and was briefed into many compartments. And I assumed very wrongly that I knew much more than I did. And my evidence, I was just talking about this just before on a call. My evidence to you was then, and I still think this is a little bit relevant, but I know the answers to it now, is that killing Osama bin Laden was a very important thing for the US, right? And when they did it, I know people that were there for that. I'm aware of the operation peripherally. I know how important that was a thing to do. And when they did it, I've worked with the unit that did it. I've not been on that level of gig, but I've been on some pretty secret kind of things. And when they killed Osama bin Laden, they crashed a stealth Black Hawk in his front yard and they had to blow it in place. And I did not know there was a stealth Black Hawk. I did not know that they had retrofitted, like a Black Hawk even in itself is not a thing, right? Like it's an SA-70 and it's a Sikorsky helicopter and there's various models of it. Here's a fun fact. You know, Australia, we know we don't have Black Hawks. We have the SA-70A. So like Australia was like, we literally have, you know, when you're driving past McDonald's and you say to your mum, hey, can we get McDonald's in Australia? Your mum's like, we got burgers at home. That's what Australia did with Black Hawks. We were like, our Black Hawks are not actually a Black Hawk. They're the same shape airframe that we were like, nah, give us the shitty one.
It's the McDowell's the version. We haven't got the golden arches. We've got the golden arcs.
Yeah. We had the and I only found that out because we call them Black Hawks. They look like a Black Hawk, but they don't have the same performance characteristics. It's an SA-70A, the Australia version, right? And it wasn't until I met a pilot who was on exchange and he gets into one and he's like, the fuck is this thing? And you're like, it's Black Hawk. He goes, this ain't a Black Hawk. It's like, this is some home brand Black Hawk, right? Anyway, I digress.
A team of Black Hawk.
Yeah, man, I was of the opinion that stealth Black Hawk was the pinnacle of transporting a human being.
Yep.
There is no faster, more stealthy way to do that than that, because if they had a better way, they'd have used it that day. And had they not crashed it, had it not got shot down, basically, they had I didn't get shot down, but it got like a rotor clip and it was like not even a crash. It was a hard landing, but they couldn't take off again. So they blew it in place, right? Had that not happened, we would not know that there's a stealth Black Hawk, right? You would still be completely unaware that that was the case. And so I was like, that's the coolest thing they got, mate. I'm aware of that. Like, this is the thing. So I was so wrong. It's ridiculous.
You were so, I could see how mortified you were to find that out. Like you believed that you knew like the technology path. And then when you found that out, you were like, what?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been in some tricky situations where a fucking laser beam or some alien technology would have been real fucking helpful.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lie, mate.
Exactly.
There's some times like literally one day when I called, like, again, I won't give the details, but when I was like, okay, this is how I die, I'll just sit here and wait for this bomb to land on my fucking head. And then when it didn't, and I was like, oh, wow, I can run away from here. That would have been a day where I was like, hey, if we have some crazy time and fucking space distorting shit, that'd be real handy for me to have access right now,
Can
right?
you just
like
portal me out right now? Like just put a little fucking portal.
That would be super helpful. Yeah. Instead of me having to lie to a pilot about where I am so that he'll drop a fucking JDAM on the building next to me, it would be real helpful to be able to just open a portal and fucking leave this shit show that I'm in, right? So like I have big feelings about this. Right? Similarly, I have big feelings about the fact that we're constantly, fossil fuels are the worst and you got to use all this renewable energy that we now know is total, doesn't fucking work. We expend more energy to make the wind farms in Australia than we ever got the fucking energy from the things. It would have been real nice if they're like, oh, but we've had 0 point energy since the 50s and we've been hiding that. So like, our bad, guys. Sorry about fucking up the planet. Sorry. So this current war that we're in, huge carnage over energy. We actually have free, clean, cheap energy and we have since the 50s.
Yeah, we just can't find a way to monetize it that would work. So yeah,
exactly.
Fuck you.
We couldn't figure out how to meter it. So,
bad luck.
You didn't get it.
Yep.
So the point is, once I start looking into it, and people will know because it's what I've been talking about a lot, is we were both interested when in 2017, New York Times had an article about, there are UFOs, it is real, and here's a bunch of different things. And the big one, and it's what was exposed in 2017, is the Nimitz incident. And so if people look into that, it happened in 2004, but it is a situation that is basically, you can't debunk it, right? Like it cannot be debunked. A fighter pilot chased a UFO, and they've got his testimony. He was the commander of the squadron, so it's not like he was overwhelmed, didn't know what he was doing. They've got it on forward-looking infrared. It does things that no plane can do. It's as real as it gets that there was a UFO. It's turned out recently that they're like the whole UFO community is now basically certain that that actually was not alien. That was human. That's a Lockheed Martin thing, that they were testing something that day. But that, I digress. So that got me interested in it. And then it was the New Jersey drones thing like 18 months ago where I was like, hey, this is a real thing. Something's going on here. And then I looked into it. And when you look into, for people who now think that I'm a crazy person, yes, I am, but not because of this. Right? This is not the reason you can think I'm crazy. There's plenty of reasons you can think I'm crazy. This ain't one of them. It is worth what happens. And for people who are laughing their asses off at me, is that if you do just a little bit of honest, thoughtful investigation into is there a there 100% is. And you figure that out very quickly. In that, like, I don't know what's going on. And is there aliens? Like, of course there's aliens. Like, is there other life in the universe? Like, you're crazy to say there's not. That's the stupidest thing anyone could ever say.
Yeah, I agree.
Are those aliens traveling to us and interacting with us? Maybe. Is there an intelligent life form that's not human that has been interacting with us maybe as long as we've existed? Yes, absolutely. And having a look into that, like, you don't need to look far before you hit like, oh yeah, this is for real a thing. One of the things that I'll say just because before we move on, because this isn't the alien conspiracy podcast, although it's turning into that, which cracks me up when, remember someone got mad at us for fucking something we had nothing to do with it and was like, and they're conspiracy theorists.
Oh, yeah.
Righto. Okay. What I'll say is this is the main proof that I use for people all the time is when people talk about alien abductions. Now, I don't think I've ever been abducted. I've never seen any of this shit. I don't know. But the running joke people always say is like, oh, did they put a probe in your ass? Like, it's always the alien ass probe like joke. You can find it, Project Bluebeam or Blue Book, sorry. That was an intentional rumor started by a US government department. Like, that was intentionally put into the zeitgeist that people who are being abducted by aliens are getting probed in their ass, because most of the credible alien abduction stories, I use credible in inverted commas, right? You choose your own adventure on that. But the ones that are realer or the less sensational and the more real usually involve some kind of sexual experimenting. And that might mean that men who are claimed to be abducted claim to have had sex with female aliens, as well as women who have been abducted claim that they've had embryos implanted in them. And the idea that aliens butt probe you is a direct cover-up of that. So that when someone gets abducted by aliens and says, I had sex with an alien, they'll be like, yeah, sure, mate, probe your butt. Like we've heard from all these other people. Like it was directly to combat that. Now, I'm not saying people did that. I don't know, right? I have no idea. But when you find out that there were for sure, beyond a shadow of a doubt, there were for sure intentional programs to discredit people, why would you have that if there weren't any truth behind it? That is the smoking gun. So over the last 18 months, that's the hilarious, ridiculous chain of inquiry that I've been going through. And like, I'm happy to explain the whole thing. We could do a special episode on what I think's going on with the world if people care that much. But it is what it's come down to, and what I kind of have landed on in my conspiracy theory investigations is it's unknowable. Like what is going on in the bigger universe is unknowable by us. You couldn't, like, even if there's not just one type of aliens, there's probably lots of different things that we call aliens that may or may not be alien, right? There's a lot of different tickets. But I think even if there were a press conference, right, and they were like, okay, we're going to explain the whole thing and answer everything, afterwards you would be like, what? I don't get it, right? Because you can't get it. You're too limited a being to understand what is happening in higher dimensional space. So I've exposed myself as a weird conspiracy theory, but I promise you, have some open investigation into this yourself, genuinely, and find out for yourself. And I know that I'm going to get a million messages now of like where to start. Get into YouTube and watch a documentary by Jesse Michaels, JSSE, called UFOs and Nukes. That as an entry point shows you there's a there. basically the UFOs and nukes correlation is that there are a lot of reports of UFO activity around nuclear installations. The witnesses are people that you cannot discredit because these are people that if they wanted to, they could launch a nuclear bomb, right? So they have the capacity to do that, and they will tell you, yeah, we regularly have, they say alien, but at this point, who knows if alien is even the right word. They have non-human intelligence interactions all the time, and it's all in that documentary. So that's the place to start, and then just follow the bouncing ball from there.
As we've confessed through this whole storytelling program, you've come from a person who denied it and rolled your eyes at it to a person who's deeper in the weeds than I am now. Like you've totally. Even gone far beyond where I am. And I thought, wow, that's, like I've had a massive head start. You've kicked the can way further down the road.
As soon as I was like, oh, this is real, there is something here, then I was obsessed. And then I was like, oh, fuck, I have to figure it out. Which it can't be figured out. It can't be understood.
FYI, I get most of my new UFO news off Pat now, which is quite phenomenal. But mate, as I said before, being told that you're a liar when you've seen something and then evidence circulating around it, and then once people go, oh yeah, someone creditable has said it, so it must be true. That's frustrating for people who are called conspiracy nuts, and it's just an insult by ignorant people and also devious people who have an agenda in covering up the realities of things. Even in the dog training world, you look at some of the things our government has lied to us about or kept from us or taken from us, and think about that on such a massive and serious scale as having life from other planets or other intelligences beyond our scope of imagination. And even comparable to that, look at the timeline of when NASA first started in the early 1900s to now, where a section of a rocket is self-fucking landing itself back into a launch pad. Again, these are things that you think, I'd never see anything like that in my lifetime, because they kept saying it's impossible. You can't do things like that, and it's too expensive to do it. And now we've got technology. Again, that's just what we're seeing. We don't even know what is stretching far beyond that or what they're developing as the next versions along the conveyor belt of that. So, mate, it does frustrate me to no end, because I've had conversations with people who, like yourself and yourself, have really spent a lot of time researching that and looked deep into the weeds of it. And then when you're having conversations about it, you've still got people going, oh, it's all bullshit, you fucking crackpot conspiracy theorying, believe in little green men sticking fingers up your asshole and rah, rah, rah.
One thing that's kind of interesting in line with that is a lot of people, I think, are not aware of our history is pretty loose, right? Like we think that we know way more than we actually do. And this became especially obvious to me. We talked about religion a little bit in the last episode. And for example, you don't need to believe any particular religion to know when people are often like, oh, there's your fairy tale about like Jesus. There is so much more evidence that Jesus was a real person who walked the earth and that series of events went down. Now, it's up to you to choose if you believe him to be the Son of God. For sure, that's an individual choice. But that he existed and that he was crucified, there's way more evidence that happened than that Alexander the Great ever existed. Right. So like when you talk to people and you talk about historical accounts of peculiar things or things that people think might be magical or esoteric or whatever, people become skeptical. But then, you go, yeah, but there's like 100 accounts of that. Alexander the Great, we only have 5 accounts that he actually ever existed. There's only 5 people that ever wrote his name down in the past. And when we read their writings, we can then go, oh, right, this is the story that happened. So like
it's far more believable.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But so our human history it's so unknown. We don't really understand it. And so the idea that we're not alone, like that might have been a very well-known and established thing at a certain point in human history. You know what I mean? Like that might have been common sense, and not that long ago, that might have just been a well-known thing. And you see that like in historical records. Like for example, one of the things that's become kind of fun for people to talk about in the UFO space is the Book of Enoch, right? So like there's American Congresswoman Luna talking about read the Book of Enoch in order to understand more about aliens.
Which is in the Ethiopian Bible.
Well, yeah, because but the Book of Enoch is not in the normal Bible.
Yeah.
But there's references to Enoch that is like one sentence long. So what that kind of implies to us is that it was taken for granted that the reader of Genesis also would have known the story of Enoch because it just kind of references to him.
Interesting.
And so that's one example.
When you're talking about the Book of Enoch, it's interesting that they consider that the Book of Enoch and the Ethiopian Bible are the more traditional writings of the Bible. And when they've compared it to the King James Version, they can see where there's been alterations, that the king had alterations done to the Bible to favor the king and make the king look in a better light and a better standing. So interesting, like if one person in, like a later timeline has decided, I'm a king, like I'm the Lord of this land. So therefore what I want to do is republish the Bible in my name and call it after me, but also alter the text, the original text. So it favors kings, and it also makes people less reluctant to challenge a king and look at a king as more of a herald or a part of the biblical fashion. I was quite surprised by that myself. I did need to tell you a quick story before I forget about it. And I know you're on a roll, but I do need to get this out. You and I had these conversations the other day when we were doing our regular UFO and religious catch-ups. I remember when I was a kid, I used to regularly go to this church with my grandmother called Wall Park Chapel in Victoria. There was a visiting congregation of former scientists from the United States, and they were a couple of men and women that they were self-confessed atheists, very strong atheists for a long period of time. They were visiting all churches in Australia, but they came and visited our church, and they came and spent a whole evening talking about what they formerly did. And what they formerly were doing was trying to disprove the Bible. So what they wanted to do was travel all around the world and look at artifacts and look at everything that had been presented to them. And forgive me because I don't remember their names. I was about 11 during that time. It was probably about 1981 to 1985 that they came out. I was listening to their story, and I was asking my cousin Dawn and my grandma at the time, like, what was all this about? And they were telling me bits and pieces of it afterwards. But long story short, they had spent their early scientific career trying to disprove the life of Jesus and the Christ philosophy. And during the years that they were investigating this, they couldn't disprove it. In fact, it proved more that he was a real person, as you said, and all of the artifacts that they were looking at, they were all then convinced that it was a real story, and they actually changed their scope to becoming Christians and talking about, we couldn't disprove this no matter what we did. And all of the hierarchical challenges that they had, how they were, the institutions that they belong with then started turning their back on them because they said, you're not doing what we've instructed you to do. You're not doing what you said you were going to do. You're not doing what you said you believed in or stood for. And now you're coming back and conflicting everything that we've supported you and funded you to go and do this. And they said, yeah, but we can't deny what we found. All the people that we're speaking to, all the artifacts that we're looking at, instead of just sitting in our armchair and saying, yeah, well, I believe this guy on TV, they said, we're actually witness to these things ourselves. Like, we have traveled the land, we have walked the path, we have seen the sights, and it's hard for us to deny. And that's what I was talking to you before. Like, a lot of people have been accused of being heretics and conspiracy theorists and nut jobs and so forth. But some of these people are very well researched, very intelligent people, and come from the polar opposites. A point where they're saying, I do not believe in you. I don't believe in anything that you've done. I believe this has been conscripted. It's man-made. It's to control people. It was to do this. And then said, how can I deny what I'm saying? Like, there's too much evidence to support it rather than not to.
Exactly. All right. Well, that's enough for the religious alien podcast. People can probably tell right now it's my favorite topic because, everything's going on in the world. I think that we are about to get answers on this stuff. They're not going to be clear answers, but we are about to find out more. That's for sure. So stand by.
We've said before that we feel that there is some very intrinsic evil surfacing in the world at the moment. And there has been since the COVID period. There's been a real unease in the world. People have changed. Cultures are different. People are not the same as they used to be. Whatever happened before COVID was completely different post-COVID. Things are spiraling more and more out of control. People are more unfriendly. People are less involved with each other, not like we used to be. Pre-COVID, The world's always had its fault. There's always been a movement here or there, or there's always been a conglomerate of people doing the wrong thing. But it just seems like it's much more now, like it exploded.
Yeah.
There's an exploded viewpoint of it.
I think that everybody realized during COVID that like, oh, holy shit, I can be made a prisoner.
Yes.
With it like just in place.
Yes.
Like that switch can be flicked on me. Like I can have everything taken from me by people I didn't know had the capacity to take.
Yeah, exactly right.
And in a way that I can't defend it. To me,
which is happening with people who own firearms, which is happening with people who own dog tools, which is happening with the next thing.
Exactly. So I lost a heap of money on FTX, right? Like I had crypto and it was on FTX when the whole platform shut down. So I lost the whole lot and I'll never get any of it back. And I immediately was like, hey, I don't like that nerds were able to steal my ones and zeros, right?
Yep.
Like I was like, that makes me very unhappy because like I'm a pretty difficult person to steal from. Physical items, right?
Yeah.
So I want to only invest in physical items. Can't. In this day and age, you never actually get to have these things. And it was then during COVID that everybody kind of went like, oh, right, holy fuck, you can just take everything from me because it's all just ones and zeros. You transfer the deed of the title of my fucking house and there's nothing I could do about that.
Try taking more than $5,000 cash out of your bank these days and see what happens. Mate, it happened to me.
Yeah.
It was a gift for a family member. I went to take the money. The bank made me talk to 2 levels of security external to the bank. I had to speak to people on the phone to take my money out of the account. And I said, I don't feel comfortable talking to you and and they're saying, are you being coerced? Is there something that, is somebody trying to take your money? And I said, no. And they said, is there anybody with you? And I said, no. They were trying to make it like I was being coerced or this wasn't my original idea.
Yeah. They're disguising their control as security.
Yep.
They're pretending that they're looking after you.
Yep.
All right, we got to break this. We got to do one more dog question because we got to finish on dog question.
We do.
And that's the end of the fucking conspiracy podcast. All right, Brandy's back and she says, thoughts on emerging industry of companies that will claim to help dog trainers market and scale. Rife with scams and lack of results, usually have no dog training experience. They post everywhere and reach out directly via calls and text. I've got stuff to say about this, right? Here's my feeling is that is a thing we're seeing, and we're seeing it a lot in the dog training space at the moment, but we see that everywhere. And it's just the truth of how marketing is done these days. Like Brandy, for example, you're in a similar sort of circumstance to me. I know you a little bit. We've met, I see you online. You're kind of a one-man show dog training business and maybe like employ the odd person here and there. But like most of us, you're a dog trainer doing the things. Then we're faced with this sort of, okay, but how the fuck do I advertise? Exactly as you were saying before, Glenn, like how do I make the content? Like there's more work than one person can do in a small business these days because you need to be doing the outreach and blah, 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 all of the things. Even if your business is killing it and you don't need any marketing, you got to keep your books, like there's all that kind of shit. There's a lot of things for us to do. So outsourcing your marketing can be a really cool idea. And I have always had such a difficulty doing that for the reasons that you're saying there is that overwhelmingly the people that we would employ market our business, they will never actually know how to run our business and what our business really does. Otherwise they would be the expert. You're the expert. They're the marketing expert. So it's our job to control them. And that to me is why like I prefer to make my own content and do all that kind of stuff is because every time I've ever engaged an external person, they don't know the difference between saying that you can get results in 1 session versus 5 sessions. Like a marketing company will always say, this is the thing because they're trying to sell and they don't really know what it is you're selling or what is actually possible. And so they will always sensationalize in order to get you the sales. If you're going to employ a company like that, it's your job as the provider to keep them within line, the left and right of arc of what you actually sell, what you actually provide, and what you can actually fulfill. This is one of the really interesting things that I saw when I was working at a marketing company was that the company that I was working for, we were exceptional at some of the things that we did. We fucked up a few businesses by selling too much of their product, right? Like we were too good and they couldn't fulfill it. It was a weird kind of crossover of they say we want as much work as you can get, But as a dog trainer, it was no dog trainers I was dealing with, but let's use that as an example. As a dog trainer, you know you have a very limited capacity.
Yeah.
As an actual person that trains dogs, you have a very limited capacity. And for me personally, like everybody's different, but back when I was doing a lot of in-home behavior mod, if I had a truly aggressive dog, like not a dog that is an easy fix and people think, but like an actual problem dog, I really didn't feel comfortable having more than 4 of those on the go at once. And I don't mean 4 in one session. I mean 4 clients that have actually difficult, dangerous dogs that really, the kind of people that when they call you, you need to answer, right? Because they've got a problem. They have a very dangerous dog and their dog, they might need advice immediately about how to get that dog out of a dangerous situation. I used to be careful. I can only have so many of those because my capacity to serve them well is limited. Our capacity as dog trainers is limited. Whereas the marketing, they are just, and sales companies, they just want to drag in as much eyeballs as possible. And so it's up to us then to be like, whoa, I can't handle that volume. I can't service those people.
Yeah.
I can't actually provide the results that you're saying that I can provide. So it's about, for us, it's about finding a company that works with the truth. So that's why I think there are some good ones that specialize in the dog training space. But of course, like as you're pointing out here, Brandy, there are plenty of ones that specialize in the dog training place at just making lots of work and terrible dog trainers that will never actually fulfill it. But as a marketer, that's not their fault because they don't really understand it. It's about their client, the person who will receive the work, setting the left and right of arc and explaining, like one of the things I had a company tell me that they wanted to pitch my stuff as will make you the greatest dog trainer in the world. And I was like, you can't fucking say that. I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, what a stupid thing to say. And they're like, yeah, but it's just hyperbole. Like I was like, mate, I'll get crucified online. If there's an ad, come into my school, I'll make you the best dog trainer in the world. Like, what the fuck? What an outrageous claim to make. And how on earth could that be measured? Right?
We've been spending the last 6 years shitting on those people on our podcast.
Exactly. That's exactly. So I was like, there's no way. And they're like, yeah, but and they're like, do you want to make the money or not? I'm like, not like that, mate.
Yeah,
not
but they
like
don't understand what's gross.
Yeah. So that's what I think is important. Like that to me is like, you got to don't be afraid of employing a marketing company. You have to, or else you have to do it, right? If you don't have the time and energy, it has to be done. You maybe employ someone else to do it and they do it better than you. But it's up to us then as the end user deliverer. You can't blame the marketer and go like, oh no, they made claims that I can't fulfill. You have to stop that. Like you proof all of the ads. You go through all the copy. You make sure that like, no, you don't make claims. Don't sell people into things that I can't actually do because at the end of the day, the marketing company, they just disappear when things go bad. It's got nothing to do with them. The delivery and like when you read contracts with those kind of companies, like their job finishes once they have pointed the people at you. That's it, right? Like what you do with those people beyond there is none of their business. That's how I feel about that.
It's kind of like a virtual assistant. When you're hiring a virtual assistant, you've got to train that person to be able to understand the runnings of your business, because they're coming in, they're basically saying, hey, I'm a skilled person, but I don't understand your business yet. That's like bringing an employee into the company. You're bringing in an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that. Even though they're skilled or they have skills in that area, they still need to know the nuances of your business. And so does a virtual assistant or even one of those marketing people that come in. And I mean, I get hit with them every single day. Oh, yeah, I need to optimize the Canine Paradigm so you and Pat will make so much more money and get more followers and blah, blah, blah. And there's probably some evidence to support that. There's also a lot of scams. There are scamming people out there. There are people out there who are, including people who are dog trainers themselves, who have set themselves up as business. They're shit dog trainers. They're gross people. They've got a terrible product. They are scammers, but what they've done is made themselves look attractive, sound like they've got the best program on the market. And I think what you really need to do is look beyond the shitty ecosystem that they've developed, because even some of the 5-star reviews are AI bot enhanced reviews. I went to buy a chainsaw sharpening device the other day. The reviews look fantastic, but then I thought to myself, I'm going to get on YouTube and look and see what people have thought. And there was a guy on there and said, don't buy this piece of shit. It is a piece of shit. And all of the marketing has been sensationalized. All the reviews have been doctored by AI. It is rubbish. It's garbage. It won't sharpen your chainsaw. It will damage your chainsaw. So do not get this fucking thing. And guys, the same applies to when you're getting marketing. Like if you're looking at people and they sound credible, even if they're funny or they've got big personalities sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're really, really, really good. You know, Casey's got a guy, he's been very happy with him. He's saying he's getting a lot of business from him. He's done the goods by him. And there are people out there who do know the industry. They do know the right terminologies. They know the right metadata to use to get in the back end of it. They really do study it and they really do care and they, you know, like they really do want to see you do well as a client. And there's other people, it's like a pyramid scheme. They just want to make money off you. You're just a poor sap who's literally just going to fill up their bank account and they could not give a fuck about you. They are the people who will get a Lamborghini off your hard work and you'll be shit out of luck and you'll be broke. You and 20, 30 other people who invested your hard-earned money into these people and they are filth bags. They're scumbags.
Yeah.
Know the difference. Do your homework.
We encounter a lot of them because like you and I get a lot of emails and we get a lot of people reaching out and I get it from my own stuff as well in that we kind of fit the perfect category of people ready to be scammed by that kind of marketing because we don't do a really good job of we're not doing video, we're not doing clips. When like for this podcast, right? We're still as old school as it gets just on podcast platforms, right? We get people reaching out to us all the time about how they can modernize and not modernize, that's not the right word, but how they can blow us up basically. And you and I have enough experience to go, no, man, like you can blow us up and leave us holding a giant inflated thing. Like you'll create a bunch of bullshit that then we have to try and fulfill. Like the whole thing works because of authenticity. The moment I let you rebrand me, the whole thing doesn't work, but I have to pay you, right? So that's what a lot of people don't get when they're not from within the space. They just look at the numbers and they'll do this to many businesses. They look at your business and they go, okay, like we can do this. We can bring in these many people. We can charge them this much. We can do this. And then as a dog trainer, you then go, okay, well, one of the things we were talking about at the start of the episode was burnout. If you've got someone else filling your books, good luck managing your fucking burnout, right?
Yeah.
Good luck making sure that because that's what they do. That's the service they're providing. But by the time this thing becomes a problem for you, they're gone. They're paid. They're out and they're on to the next person, inflating them to the point of unsustainability and collapse. Because like that's the issue with like in dog training more than as much as anywhere else, authenticity is the key because people have to trust you with their fucking dog. Like they're actual like family member, right? They're looking for that level of trust. And the moment you betray that trust, you're cooked, right? Like, and you do that a couple of times, then word spreads, no matter what level you're at, whether you're doing just local training of dogs near you versus, you know, big online platforms, whatever it is, the moment you under-deliver on what somebody thinks they're going to provide, you only got to do that a few times. Word spreads around. You can fucking destroy your business very quickly. You can destroy your own livelihood by under-delivering. And especially if you're the kind of person that isn't okay with that yourself. Right. So like if somebody else oversells your product and then you find yourself in a position of like, oh, fuck, now I have to do that. Right. Like you said I'm going to do something that I had no intention of doing. The client has taken us on. Now I have to do that. Right. So like now I have to put this dog in an unfair position or face telling the client like, hey, you actually got lied to and this can't be done. Right. So like you're in that position. It doesn't take long before it can collapse. So that's what I think is important for us is that, yeah, there's lots of marketing companies and some of them are scammy and some of them are good. But for us, you have to be careful of allowing people to say things about you on your behalf. Like you're responsible for that shit.
Yeah, indeed.
Like it's why when I first started doing seminars, I did one somewhere, somebody else made the poster. It caused me problems because of things they said on the poster and just posted it before it was actually out. Like something they said about me was like, you know, it was hyping me up, but it wasn't technically true, right? And by the time I saw it, other people had seen it. I'm getting sent screenshots of it. And that's when I was like, okay, well, I have to make my posters myself because I can't have that, right? Like I can't have people misrepresenting me because I'm ultimately responsible for that. Whether I did it or not, it doesn't matter. I'm responsible for it because it's selling me as a product. I have to be truthful in what I say about myself. So that is on me. So that's a role I have to take. And then, you know, you get to the point where you can't do that anymore. So you template it and you go to people, you can put your information into this template and then this is what we post.
Mate, you made a very good point of it before and you really singled out the key word, which is authenticity. And it's something that is more lacking now than ever before. People are more and more less authentic. Like you can just tell that I don't know what they've done. They've just aligned themselves with some icky fucking con man in the background or some shitty fucking marketing company. I don't know what's happening. And I've seen people who I thought were authentic and they've become less and less authentic. And to me, that's important because I only want to do business with authentic people. I try to distance myself from less authentic people as much as I possibly can. Oh, mate, there's been some fucking people over time that have tricked me. I believe that I'm a reasonably perceptive person, but I've been tricked by people before and they're good at their job. I've stated it before that people who are deceitful or con people, that's their fucking full-time job. That's what they're doing. That's why they're so good at it because they constantly grind to find how can
they're authentically con people.
They're exactly right.
That's why they pull it off.
Mate, they could fucking parachute out of a brown snake's asshole. That's how fucking low they are. They're just shit people who, as you said, they're authentic at being a scumbag.
So think about how many people there are, like, let's not say any names, people get upset, but like the Hat, for example, right? Like authentically, like he's himself. He's not pretending. That's who he is. Right. Like, and so it works. Yeah. He'll be successful. He is successful. It's that the ground isn't going to fall apart under that because he's authentically a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Whereas if you then try and emulate that, like, oh, that he's doing this and this, and I'll try and do it, it falls apart because that's not who you are. Right. Like you are then conning in that moment.
Yes.
But like you see the people who are persistent and you go like, Pat, what you're saying is not true because I observe it in this person and his world has not fallen apart the way you're saying mine might. Saying is no, because he lives that, like, that's his truth.
They'd pass a lie detector test. They believe it. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's not going to, he's not lying. This is his truth. It's fucking nonsense, but it is his truth.
Yep. To conclude my point on that, I feel that authenticity is one of those things, like many virtues in life, that is lacking. But surround yourself with those type of people. If you want to do good business, if you want to avoid burnout, if you want people to see you in the best light possible, and if you want to conduct yourself in the best way possible, try and be as authentic as you possibly can. Be and show your truths. None of us are perfect. I've never met a perfect person in my life, and I've professed to many people many times, I'm far from perfect. I'm not trying to con people into believing I'm some magical, perfect person. Never have I said that. Never. You'll never hear me in any recording that I've ever done in person or anything like say that I'm perfect or I'm error-free. I'm always learning. I'm always trying to improve myself. I'm trying to surround myself with better people all the time because that's how you do reach a level of authenticity. And that is a part of being authentic, understanding that you're flawed, that you will make mistakes, and then trying to correct them and trying to be better. I know I haven't said it for a long time, but it's my favorite quote, Maya Angelou's quote, do the best you can until you know better. And when you know better, do better. I think it's the philosophy in life. If you follow that task, then your life will become better. You will avoid things that are making you unhappy. And you won't have to constantly remind yourself that you are unhappy and things aren't going the way you are and you are reaching levels of burnout all the time because you're looking at, I'm surrounding myself with good people. Like I have the nutrition of good life around me. I have people that tell me when I'm fucking up and they do it with love and kindness too. They support me along my journey. And when I'm doing great, they also congratulate me. They pat me on the back and say, hey man, I'm so proud of you. You're doing a wonderful job. You're raising the bar. You're looking great. I'm happy for you. You're looking more successful. You're better in your journey. I've had the good fortune of being around those people and I've had the good fortune of being in the company with those people, and it's a much better thing for you. If you're sitting around a fucking table and you're with people who are just spewing toxic fucking fuel about other people and other industry and so forth, examine that. Like look deep into that and saying, is this really the collective of people that I want to surround myself on? Is this who I'm becoming? Like I'm being dragged down into a mire of negativity and it's just spiraling out of control? Or do I want to reshape my future? Do I want to be around people who say, ignore those people, mate. You can do better than that. Like my old mate Russell, when I learned to do martial arts when I was a kid, one of the best influences I had in my life at that time. You know, unhappy kid, didn't have a dad round to guide me, didn't have anyone to support me, and I had this wonderful man in my life, and he wasn't a weirdo or a pervert or anything like that. He was a good family man, and he was a tough old bloke too. He gave me a sense of purpose, and he also taught me how to understand what accountability is. He was one of the first people who really taught me what authenticity about, because he challenged me on being, you know, like being a young impressionable idiot. And he said to me, mate, you know, make good choices in your life, do better things, or don't stay here with us, because that's not what I want. I don't want that for you. You're capable of doing so much better. So do that. They're the sort of people that you want to surround yourselves from early in your life, midway through your life, and late in your life. Find a consistent gathering of people like that. Find people who clap for you. No matter where you are, they're there as a support mechanism, and they truly want the best for you. Those people are fucking fantastic. Analyze it, think on it, because it will be supportive and will help you out through the rest of your life.
Sounds like good advice.
Sometimes.
Like the place to.
Sometimes I'm just, there's days where I'm just absolutely full of shit, and there's days where I have epiphanies of wisdom. So, you know, it depends on which day you'll catch me.
Sometimes those days.
Catch me outside. How about that?
All right. Well, that's it for another episode of the Alien Conspiracy Podcast.
Why
As
not?
always, if you like what you hear, like, rate, share, subscribe.
Oh, fucking hell.
Through whatever subscription service you download us from. And then go somewhere else and do it there too.
Can't stop fucking laughing thinking about all this shit.
You could. What did she post when she did that? You could screenshot our logo and write, not listening anymore because they're conspiracy theorists. I think she also said Trump supporters. It was like, hey,
yes, that's right. Yes, I know who you're talking about now. Said that which was just crazy, because they made a claim that you and I voted for Trump, and I just thought, well, how can we fucking do that? Like, we're in America,
I'm Australian,
and I think you and I have made it very clear on as many different platforms as we possibly can that we don't trust or validate
any politicians.
They're fucking lying, thieving scumbags. All of them, both parties. They're all pieces of shit. They lie and take from you.
There is no two parties. It's a two-headed snake.
Yeah, it's a double. That's right. Yep, true. Anyway, back to the fucking finale.
Moving on. That's it for the Conspiracy Podcast. So get in, leave a review. Tell everyone that we're fucking big-time Trump-supporting conspiracy theorists. Just see how that goes. It can't be bad. All right. If you want to support the show, best way to do that is Patreon. A few bucks a month gets you a giant backlog of information and new stuff going forward. But you give as much or as little as you like. We really, truly appreciate all of the support that everybody gives us. Is what keeps the podcast running, keeps the lights on, keeps us moving forward.
Only thing now. Because we're
gave
shit
up all
marketers.
sponsorship.
We
gave up all sponsorship. All of our advertisers were like, you guys talk about aliens too much. Actually, no, that's not at all. We are the advertisers. You know what you could do though? Get some shirts.
Yeah,
we should make you know what we need is a conspiracy theory shirt.
We need you getting probed or something on a shirt.
Yeah. All right. No, if you're still listening, that's a thing. I want that. I want
you want to
hit me with some designs. I want a new shirt that implies that we're conspiracy theorists. Maybe turn the dogs into aliens. I don't know. Let's do something crazy. Let's lean into this. So anyway, check that out. Links in the show notes. Another way to support us is like get into my school, buy my course, get in there. Let me teach you about dog training. Let me teach you everything that I can about dog training. Come on in, spend a few months, get all my info, then go out and be fucking awesome. The other thing you could do is keep your dog real healthy with some canine pharmaceuticals for sure. So
or if it's got some health problems,
get it healthy.
If you've got problems with your dog health-wise, Narelle's got lots of solutions for you. So you can definitely talk to her about that. She's one of the, I'm going to unashamedly say it, she's one of the leading experts in our field about it. She's a great resource, and this has come back from multiples of peers in the industry who have doubted it before but used the products themselves and found that it's done wonders for their dogs. People in the sporting communities, people in the law enforcement communities, people in the general communities have come back and reported that their dog has shown mild to vast levels of improvement from being on Canine Surgicals products. So if you want to find out more, get on the website, caninesurgicals.com.au, and you can speak with Narelle yourself, and she will happily guide you through the peer-reviewed science that she's painstakingly put together. You can find that on her website as well, because she's put it all there for the naysayers and the doubters, but the reports are coming in left, right, and center that dogs are doing better on it. So, and also one of the great things is that you're not beholden to any type of food. You're not locked into a food cycle that you have to buy somebody's food. You can use your own food. You can make your own food. You can buy food, and you can put the product within it itself. So, you can self-manage your own healthy medications with your dogs. And as I said, the science is there. It supports it. Get on it. Have a look at it.
All right. That's where you can support us.
Yep.
Last thing is, if you want to get in touch with us, jump into the Facebook discussion group. That's where we're drawing the next few episodes worth of information. There's a post in there. That's where we communicate with you guys. That's where we get info from you guys. So you can jump into there. But if you want to get in touch with us directly, we are info@thecanineparadigm.com. Love you all. Goodbye. What's happened?
What happened?
There we go. There we go. We're back. We're back.
We did it.
I misaligned the little keys. Shit happens. UFOs happen. The fact.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, aliens.